So I just spent 21 hours and 212 deaths beating all of the main bosses and doing a lot of exploring, a lot of side bosses, a lot of optional bosses. I'm missing a little bit, and real quick, spoilers, I'm going to talk about some of the bosses, who they are. There's really just only good things to say about Elden Ring. There's two, maybe, complaints that I have about Elden Ring in general. I guess one and a half. 1.25. But spoilers, because I'm going to talk about some of the names, some of the bosses. I'm going to go to some of the areas. A lot of things are dead, though. I left one dragon alive because one complaint is about hitboxes, specifically around dragons. And not all dragons. I needed to leave this guy alive so I could talk to you guys and show you guys the actual dragon. But basically, I fought Bale, and I'm missing portions of the thing. Again, I did the mainline bosses, and I just realized that Radahn, the final boss, who is here, he was more than half of all my deaths. I died 212 times total for the DLC. This counter right here, this is from the beginning of my original place. Not my original, but we redid Elden Ring like 2 weeks ago, and we started at 0. And this was our new character. But Radahn took about 120 tries. I don't know exactly how many. It's somewhere around 120. So he was more than half of our deaths. He was extremely difficult. And the quarter of the complaint that I have, and there's an actual complaint, which it's not that serious, but it's kind of annoying and it was a little frustrating. But the quarter of the complaint is the amount of moves that certain enemies do, specifically just Radahn. I want to say other enemies because everything, all other enemies, you can kind of telegraph and you can see what's going to happen. You can work around them, dodge through them, all these other things. But you're gonna have to check the live stream for the Radahn fight because I already beat him, so he's not here anymore. But he does attacks in his second form that are followed up automatically by pillars of light because of Mikola or something. And so he was getting 2-3 attacks in at once, when normally a boss or an enemy would do an attack. I mean, they do a chain of combos. Obviously, they can have a multi 20 hit combo or something, but you can dodge through all of them. With Radahn, he would do an attack and then you dodge, but during the recovery of the dodge animation, pillars of light come down, so it was really hard to get around. He's officially now harder than Millennia, and Millennia was the hardest boss for me previously or prior. And so Radahn, we beat him, so I'm not gonna say that this game is overly difficult. However, there is a clear difference in difficulty in this game compared to the base Elden Ring, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It started getting pretty easy towards the end. As soon as you beat Melania in the base Elden Ring game, everything after that was pretty easy, so I'm glad that I was able to get more Elden Ring because I really, really like this game at the difficulty that it was meant to be played at. The difficulty itself is not a complaint. It's just kind of, it felt a little cheese the way they did Radahn's attacks. But we got through it, so it's fine. Now, for the real complaint, we killed Bale, right? He's another giant optional dragon boss. He had the same thing. And it's not just dragons. There are other enemies. Specifically gargoyles and the godskin peeler guys, the skinny ones. Their hitboxes are not good. Specifically with certain dragons. Because other dragons, the ghost flame dragons out in the outer world, and a lot of the other dragons in the base game, they have, see, he has 2 target points. It's his head. Usually for dragons, it's the head, the body, or which isn't even the body, it's the base of the neck, and then they'll have both legs. And the thing is, when you have both legs, then you can actually hit the dragon. But here, since it's either I stop target lock and I lose track of like all the things that he's doing, or I get to do damage to his legs, because you can really only hit the legs. You can hit the front, but for dragons, you're trying to get around them and you're trying to do damage. But here I don't have target lock on, so I can't see him anymore, and it's hard to get back onto him. And this dragon has a problem. The gargoyle has the same problem, because you're trying to hit in a certain area while also watching the enemy's movements, but since it doesn't have a target lock on the actual area that you need to hit, you lose a strafe, you lose the camera, and it's just, see, like here I lost him. So usually if I had target on, then it would keep track of him even though he jumps. But here, like, he he holds his head up so high that if I were to use his head as the target point to attack him, I'd miss like 50% of my attacks. And so it's just, in a game that's difficult like Elden Ring or any Souls-like game, you need a consistent hit point or else you're kind of just stuck. Like, I can't hit the head. Obviously there's no way I'm hitting the base of the neck. That's way too high. They removed it for some reason, which is, I don't understand. They removed it from Bale, they removed it from this guy. All other dragons have it on the legs. So this dragon here, he has a head target. Okay, no, so smaller dragons, oh no, yeah, see, he also has a body target, which is how they should have done. Head target, body target. I don't really know what the head and the body are for, but the leg targets, that's where you actually hit the dragon, at least for melee. If you're doing magic, then it probably doesn't really even matter. But this is where there should be targets, because you still don't get to see as much, but if he jumps like that's the reason I need the target light. Because if he jumps in the air, if he jumps backwards, if he's moving around like crazy, I need to keep track of him. And so it's more of a quality of life sort of thing. It's not a necessity per se. But basically that's the only that's the only complaint I have. The rest of the game, it's a Souls-like, it's meant to be hard, it was fun, it was difficult, it was frustrating, but it's very rewarding after the challenge. The sense of accomplishment and relief I felt after Radon. I'm glad I was able to finally beat him. Again, there's some stuff that I need to go through still in the rest of the DLC just because of how expansive. And that's something I was going to talk about. This map is huge. This is another half of the game, basically. It's massive. I was expecting the map to be maybe from like here, or a quarter of this, honestly. This map is huge, but the size comparison, because there's also this bottom section here, which you can't even actually see on the map, but this is all explorable, and this is another section. There's so much content and so much space. The map is huge. There's new enemies, new weapons, new armor, new items. There's new pots. There's throwing stuff. There's craftables. Again, equipment. There's new weapons, like all these smithing things. I like the concept of the smithing, but there's just so much content and so much to do in this game. It made me feel like I got to play Elden Ring again, which that's what a DLC should do. And so I got to experience a new Elden Ring experience with this DLC, which I'm super thankful for and grateful for, and I'm glad I bought this. This was definitely worth it, just because of, I mean, camera's a sort of an issue, the whole targeting thing. Nothing's that big of an issue for me to say that this game needs actual fixing or problems. The difficulty is a little bit, you can get everything you can work around. And so if I were to give this a rating, I'd probably give it a 9. Elden Ring has been great. Just the game in general. The game, the DLC, all of it is extremely good. There's hardly any setbacks, but it's not for everyone. Souls-like games are not for... I shouldn't have hit that guy, they're just friends. Souls-like games are not for everyone. If you don't like challenges, if you don't want to be frustrated, don't play Souls-like games. Specifically, don't play Shadow of the Erdtree. Shadow of the Erdtree is by far the hardest Souls thing I've played so far. But that doesn't mean, if you are a Souls-like fan and you do actually like the challenge, then 100% get this game. No matter what, I think it's $40 DLC. It's definitely worth it. It's got the content that you're paying for. It's got, obviously it's still Elden Ring, so it feels like a Souls-like. And you have the challenge with the bosses. But if you enjoyed Elden Ring and you're looking for a new, fresh experience of Elden Ring, again, want to spend more time with this game, definitely 100% get this DLC. I recommend it. I think it's worth. I had a ton of fun with it. I got frustrated with it, which is what you want from these games, and I felt accomplished when I beat the final boss and I beat all the other bosses. But that's basically it. That was Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Go play this game, go get it, and I'll see you all on the next review.